I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
Hey, why don't we start off with welcoming you. Please be seated. It's great to have you here today. How are y'all doing? It's a really beautiful day. It's a little cooler than usual. Yeah, this is a cool day for us here on Maui. And thank you for being here this morning and bringing your spirit, your heart, your love. And it's my thought and my belief that we're creating the service together this morning. So thank you for showing up and being present right now and opening your heart and your mind to the spiritual essence that you are. Thank you. And we probably should start with prayer. What do you think? Is that a good way to do that? So why don't we do that? I'm guessing that Marlene is our prayer chaplain today. Marlene, you got a prayer in you? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Oh, the little red dot disappeared. So there we go.
Aloha. Let's take in a deep breath. Oh, yeah. As well as the cool breeze, I'm feeling the humidity that is blessing us with much needed rain soon. One power, one presence. God is the peace, the joy, the love, the harmony, the understanding that all is one. We allow this knowingness to permeate each and every single thought and feeling that we embody and share. We are knowing that this power and this presence is the only activity in, through, and around this church, in, through, and around each and every single one of us. And we take this message out into the world joyfully, happily, fulfilled by the knowingness that each and single person we meet is the beloved as well as we. And we are knowing that this message today is going to unravel the mystery of God. And we are so grateful for this message. We allow it to sit inside our beingness and reveal itself moment by moment, step by step. And we are so grateful to be here. And so it is. Amen.
So it is. Thank you, Marlene. And Marlene is our prayer chaplain today. She'll be holding us in prayer as she records and broadcasts our Facebook feed. And welcome to all you watching us on Facebook Live this morning. And for those of you who are here, Marlene will be here after the service, somewhere around here, if you'd like an up-close and personal prayer with her. Her prayers are life-changing and transformative. So give her the gift of being able to pray with you. All right. And the Daily Word is next on our agenda, and according to my careful calculations, Mike is on the way up and must be reading the Daily Word today. Let's see.
Don't practice, too. This is cold turkey right here.
Woo, wow. We're praying with you, pal.
I'm pretty good at being a turkey.
Well, you're a little early to be a turkey, aren't you?
Well, I'm going to be hiding for a while. Okay.
Oh, you need the mic, Mike.
I need the mic, Mike.
Yeah.
I was stealing yours. Okay. The creative energy of spirit expresses through me. Stunning visual arts, inspirational music, and a brilliant performance. These are the lovely examples of creativity, but they are by no means the only ones. Creativity is the very nature of life. Excuse me. Form, the most soaring, soul-inspiring instance to the mundane moments that fill daily life. Creative acts abound. Creative acts are prayers in action, a continuation of divine activities in its infinite manifestations. Living is a creative act. It is the way I am in the world, the way I love and the way I relate to all others. Understanding it is this way. I see how I am using my thoughts, feelings, and imagination to create my experiences. I bring my divine gifts to life through my creativity. Then God said, let us make humankind in our image according to our likeness and let them have dominion. Genesis 1:26. Mahalo.
Nice. Let's give Mike a hand for being in the moment. Well, the purpose of this talk is to show you how scientific discoveries can serve as spiritual tools to help you to connect with the divine, to live a powerful and fulfilling life. Anybody interested in doing that? Yes. So, Dr. Eben Alexander, a neurosurgeon, originally believed that consciousness was rooted only in brain function. He believed that mystical experiences, spiritual experiences, were illusions created by neurochemistry, right? Figments of our imagination. But in 2008, he contracted bacterial meningitis. And as a result of that, went into a coma and was in a coma for 7 days. And he said that during that coma, he had spiritual revolutions, right? He imagined, he saw the connectedness of all beingness. He saw love. He felt love for everyone. And he experienced incredible, amazing peace. And upon his recovery, he was like, whoa, what just happened to me? How did that happen? What was that experience? How could this experience happen with ideas beyond my brain, inside my brain? And so he began merging his ideas about neuroscience with spirituality. And his story challenges us to look at the perceived boundaries, the perceived differences between science and spirituality. You know, there's been a historical divide between spirituality and science. Have you noticed? You know, historically, the church held that it had the only intellectual discourse. Back in the 17th century, the church was seen as the place where you went for understanding. They interpreted their views of what it means to be human, what it is to have God, and they interpreted this through the Bible and Christian teachings. And they looked there for explanations. And that was great until this man showed up. Galileo, looking at the planets through his telescope, figured out that the Earth and other planets rotate around the sun, right? And he called this heliocentric concept, whereas the church believed in a geocentric idea, which was the concept that the sun and the planets rotated around the earth. Now, I have to say, this pissed off a lot of spiritual people, right? Because they based their whole teaching on the idea that the earth was the center of the universe. And now, all of a sudden, Galileo is saying it's not true. So what did they do? They put him under house arrest to keep him from spreading his ideas. Whew, wow, and this incident kind of symbolizes this historical view that science and spirituality don't belong in the same thought. And this modern misconception is true for a lot of people today. A lot of people believe that science and spirituality are not compatible. Well, we know and we're finding that that's not true. We've been reading this book, Soul Boom, and written by Rainn Wilson. You might know him from the show The Office. He wrote this book called Soul Boom, Why We Need a Spiritual Revolution. And he advocates for bridging this gap between science and spirituality. He is about embracing both our scientific heritage and our spiritual heritage. And he calls for a soul boom. Right? which I like to think of as a spiritual modernization. And he's saying, it's time that we change the way we're thinking. It's time that we expand our thinking and realizing that both spirituality and science have value. In fact, this is a quote. I like what he says. He says, "We stand at a crossroads where the soul's yearning meets the mind's quest for understanding. To heal our world, we must embark on a journey that unites heart and intellect." Don't you just know that's true? Right? He believes that we've missed the boat. We've missed the spiritual boat. And he says that today's challenges are our environmental challenges, our social challenges, our political challenges, our interpersonal, our social challenges reflect a spiritual void. And that it's time for a spiritual revolution. It's time to change our thinking, change our speaking, change the way we hold spirituality and science to open up and expand into a larger view. A spiritual modernization. Wow, I love that. Isn't it time that we expand into teachings that embrace everyone, right? We see so much division in our world today, largely, I think, because of spiritual biases and religious biases. What if we chart a new way of being? What if we explore inclusiveness, not only with science and religion or spirituality, but with each other, with the way we see each other in our world, the way we treat each other. So how do we bridge the gap between spirituality and science? And he suggests 4 things. He suggests that we embrace open-minded inquiry. What if we open our minds? What if we looked for truth in all spiritual paths, right? Instead of being so focused on, I got it right, this is my way, this is the only way. What if we opened up and expand, included everyone? He says, the second one is to find common ground in wonder and mystery. Wow. What if we were just wondering, what would it be like if things were this way? What would it be like if we opened our thoughts, our feelings, and included everybody and let everyone into the conversation? And this one, the next one even gets me even more. It's what if we cultivate compassion? What if we cultivate compassion and ethical responsibility? And those are what we teach our youth, to be responsible, to be compassionate. What if it was cool to be compassionate? Can you imagine a world where it's like, whoa, this is our priority. It's all about being compassionate, folks, right? You think different than me, believe different than me? Well, it's cool. I love you anyway. So let's sit down and have a cup of tea and talk about things, science, truth, love. Isn't it all about love? What if we agreed that love was the major teaching? When we look at the masters, what did the masters teach? Love. What was Jesus? I think Jesus taught two main things. What were they? Love and forgiveness were his two. That was his mission statement, to love and forgive. And if we did that, imagine a world where those are the two things that we focused on every day. And the next one that Wilson suggests is to encourage disciplinary dialogue. I don't know why that word is tripping over my tongue, but to create a conversation, be able to have conversation, and to love each other. Wow. So back to the purpose of this talk, which is to show you how scientific discoveries can serve as spiritual tools to help you connect with the divine so that you can live a peaceful and fulfilling life. So I don't think I have the ability to make you understand or help you understand. So I'm going to invite you into the process. I'm going to share some scientific concepts with you and then invite you, just to think for a moment while we're here this morning talking about them. And then I'm hoping that you'll go home and take a deeper look. Spend some time reflecting on these ideas and how they affect your life. Are you ready to play scientist? All right, bring out the white coats. So this is my invitation to invite you to explore these tools of spiritual growth. All right, so the first one we're going to look at today is, first of two, is quantum entanglement. Now, what this is, it's the idea that entangled particles remain linked even across great distances when they're separated. Now, there was a study done and to explain that back in 2015 where they took protons, right, elements of light, and they separated the protons by 1.3 kilometers, which is 0.81 parts of a mile, or 1,300 meters. So they separated these protons and had them in different locations. And I said protons, I meant photons, photons. And they had these photons in different locations, and they observed them, different people observed them. And what they discovered was that when one photon changed its size or its position, so did the other one, 1,300 meters away. This wasn't a one-time study. This was done, it's been documented many times. So what does that tell us? To me, it tells us that we are, this concept reflects our interconnectedness, suggesting that our actions and our thoughts impact others even when they're unseen. So to me, this means that we have the power, we are connected to each other in ways that are unseen. So, considering that concept, what I'm asking you to do as a scientist in this experiment is to look, and by the way, here's what they say these photons look like. Kind of interesting. It's kind of the yin and yang symbol, isn't it? Right? And those are taken with an electronic or a huge magnifying glass. Or that's not the word I want. It's a probably a microscope, a huge microscope. And I just think that's so interesting. So they separated those photons and looked at them in different places and found that when one moved, it affected the other one instantaneously. So for you, what I'm inviting you into around this concept is to think about how does the idea of being deeply connected to others shape your relationship? How might you act realizing that you are connected to others in the same way? How does this scientific concept show up in your life? And another one, second question there is, how does viewing the universe as being interconnected inspire you to live with greater compassion? Do you think your compassion affects others? Yes. And to me, that's what this is saying, is that we are all connected, right? And we know this is true. Those of us who've been studying New Thought for a long time have heard this concept before, but we may have never seen it proven scientifically, that we are all connected and our thoughts are powerful. So that's the first test I invite you to experiment with. And the second one is dealing with neuroplasticity. Now, neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to change and adapt based on thoughts, experiences, and practices. And we know that meditation and saying affirmations can change the neural pathways in our brains because our brains have neuroplasticity, which means they have the ability to change. Science used to think that the brain you're born with, the cells you have in your brain, are fixed. But now they're finding that indeed we can develop new brain cells. We can develop new connections, new pathways in our brains. And that our brains changed based on what we think, what we experience, and what we practice. So, what does this mean to us? Simply, it means that we have the power to shape our minds and influence our lives based upon intentional practices like gratitude, meditation, being loving. So, knowing that your brain has neuroplasticity, that it can adjust, I have a couple of questions for you to consider. So knowing your brain can change, what daily practices could help you to create a more peaceful and compassionate mindset, knowing that you can change your brain. Science of Mind says change your thinking, change your life, right? Science is showing that you have the ability to do so. It's not just a woo-woo concept that somebody came up with. It might have been at one time, but now it's been proven by science. And that's what I think is so amazing about our discovery of science and combining it with spirituality, is that we're finding a lot of these scientific principles have a spiritual base. And you could turn that around and say it the other way too. So, and the second question is what spiritual or mindfulness practices would you like to strengthen? How would you like to shape your thoughts? What would you like to experience more of in your life? More love, more wisdom, more prosperity, more light. And then what practices can you incorporate into your life that are going to expand your brain, your ability, your spiritual connection, so that you can experience more fulfilling, more enjoyable presence in your life? That's pretty exciting, yes? So, we've talked about this before, and I've talked about neuroscience before, and used the example of the power of meditation and the power of using affirmations. What else can we do to expand our brain, to increase our neural pathways? I got a couple ideas. How about engaging in diverse perspectives and to be able to look at things that you haven't considered before? Look at seeing something differently, right? Because we can be so locked into patterns and seeing and doing things the same way all the time. True for you? Right? They're saying that if you come to Unity on Sunday morning, we often take the same route, right? Go the same way. What if you did a different route, went a different direction? Right? This is all about using our minds, expanding our minds. And another thing we can do is to pursue continuous learning. They say that, you probably know, what are some of the ways that they say we can expand our mind? What kinds of activities are really possible to develop and expand our minds? What kind of activities do you think?
Learn to play an instrument.
Yes, music, play an instrument, sing, right? Because it accesses a whole different part of your brain. What else? Oh, gosh, you guys read my notes? Learn a language. Journaling. Doing things that are different, right? Doing artwork. Do something that allows you to expand. When we're in school and college and whatever, we're always pushing our mind, right? Pushing and trying to expand. So imagine that you're young, right? Imagine that you have all these interests and pursue some interests that you don't have. Do something different. Read something that's different than the fantasy novel or the love romance novel or the history book or whatever it is you're used to doing. Expand and do some things that are different. And the last thing is to reflect on where things went wrong. When you have a day, when you make a mistake or you say something that's hurtful or not compassionate, reflect on it and to even play it over in your mind, right? So next time this happens, I'm going to respond differently, right? And I'm not going to get defensive. I'm going to respond with love. Oh, wow, I see I had this conversation today and I got defensive. I went to a hospice, held an event this week for clergy, and it was there was probably about 20 of us from different ministries there, and it was fascinating to be around. I love being around clergy anyway, and we all have such diverse opinions, and it was interesting because sometimes I don't have any filters. And something that's been on my mind recently is this movement of Christian nationalism that's happening in our country. And so I asked this table that had two priests, two chaplains from the hospital, and the CEO of hospice, what do you know about Christian nationalism? And the woman who's sitting next to me, the CEO, says, "Oh, you had to ask that question." Right? And to me, it's like, yeah, I got to ask that question. Right? We need to talk about this. If you don't know what it is, it's a movement that among fundamental Christians believe it comes out of the Birch Society. And you can see some of that reflected in the world and some of what our politicians talk about. And it's a movement to make Christianity the only religion, right? And so my thought was, man, all of us clergy who are into inclusiveness, we need to get together and promote inclusiveness and stand up for being inclusive. Stand up for expanding and including everyone. I didn't mean to go off on that tangent. I think it's important. I think that's part of where we are today. Right? It's time for us to pull together with like-minded people and to promote ideas that are about inclusiveness and justice and kindness and responsibility. So anyway, those are all topics for another discussion, and I'd love to kick them around with you sometime if you're willing to do that. Just encourage me. So Einstein saw science and spirituality being complementary of each other. He famously said, "Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind." He viewed the universe as a cosmic symphony, all playing together, interconnected, resonating with the ideas of quantum entanglement that we talked about today. He believed that everything in the universe is linked on a fundamental level. And he worked with entangled particles and found them puzzling. But he did believe that we are connected in unseen ways. He believed in cultivating the mind through learning, through reflection, and through imagination. For Einstein, the mystery of life was an invitation to experience the mysterious. He saw religion as the source of all science. And he showed that science and spirituality aren't opposites, that they're partners in a quest to understand the universe and our place in it. So, my call to action for you today is to take the walk your talk that I have in the back there that has the principles that I talked about today and the questions I talked about today, and put on your scientific robes and whatever else you might need, and consider how the spiritual practices you have reflect scientific ideas. And then, because we need to explore this stuff. We need to talk about this stuff. We need to promote this stuff. So, embrace the mysteries. Stay curious. And remember that you are a part of the universe, and you are a creator within the universe. And let's say our affirmation together today. Together, I am an active participant in the beauty and harmony of creation. And I know that's true. And I invite you to close your eyes. And imagine that you are looking through a telescope. Maybe with the eyes of Galileo. And as you look out at the stars and the planets, imagine that you are able to travel through that telescope out into the world and into the expansiveness of the universe. Recognizing, feeling, becoming aware of the idea that you are one with this universe. You are one in this symphony. You are one with the allness of life. And imagine that the stars and the planets are similar to the atoms, the molecules within you. Imagine, feel your connectedness. Feel your unity. Feel the love. Feel the joy and the wisdom and the peace that comes as you recognize your oneness with all things. Breathe into this awareness. Breathing in and breathing out. And bring your awareness back to this moment. And I invite you to open your eyes when you're ready. And I'd like to invite our Unity Band to come up. While I realized I left you maybe hanging a little bit in one of my stories, you all can come up and get ready. So when I put the idea out to the table, and I said, I'm envisioning us clergy coming together and celebrating the oneness and celebrating the truth that each one of us teaches. And one of the priests at the table said, Jesus Christ is the only one. And I grabbed his hand and said, thank you for sharing that. Didn't get defensive like I might have. And I realized this is a hard concept for a lot of people to grasp, right? And he got involved, and he didn't talk to me anymore after that. But the Greek Orthodox priest that was sitting across from me looked at me and he says, I know what you're saying. I agree with you. We have to come together, and we have to be one. We have to be one in the light of truth in this world, and to demonstrate that we are all one, and to love and appreciate each other despite our differences. So I thought I'd better share the end of that story and how that went. It was a powerful event for me, and I'm thinking about the future and indeed connecting with any of these ministers and priests that might be interested in talking some more. But that's a conversation for another day. And let's see, it's like I mentioned before, my walk your talk. It doesn't look like that, but it looks like this, and it's back there, and I think I made 15 copies of it. And so I hope you'll take it. I hope you'll play scientist with me. I think it'll be fun. And also, last week, so many of you took the walk your talk that we ran out. And so I printed some more, and so those are back there also under this stack. So if you missed out on one last week, pick it up today. All right, and next week my talk is titled Creating a Spiritual Community. And this will be the last talk in this series on Soul Boom. And we're going to look at what does a spiritual community look like? How can we conceive such a thing? And what can we do to create a spiritual community? Now we have one, but I'm kind of thinking of a modernized community. What does that look like? And I know we have a lot of the elements of it right here. And my vision is that we're going to embody, embrace even more of that as we move forward as a ministry and a movement. So thank you for being here and being part of that. So I think without any further ado, or before we do anything further, we should stand up and pray together the prayer for protection, and then we'll join in a circle and sing the peace song. So for ourselves, for each other, for this ministry, for all life, let's pray and affirm together the prayer for protection, which begins, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is. God bless you. Thank you for being here today.